Hello folks and welcome back to the Vertigo Tea Party and my informational series on DC Online. In this video we are going to talk about powers, skills, and feats. Now first of all, just to quickly go over this again, you have two modes. You have a DPS mode and then you have a second mode. Second mode is dependent on the power set you chose. So if you chose fire or ice as your power, your secondary mode will be tank mode. If you chose mental or gadgets, your secondary mode is control. Now at the top left, you can see I'm switching back and forth. The DPS mode is indicated by a fire icon, and the second mode, which is going to be different based on what your secondary ability is. You can switch back and forth with the T button on your keyboard. You can switch at any time as long as you are not in combat. So let's go ahead and get to the powers and the skills. Just press escape and press traits. You can also press K on the keyboard. You can see how many power points and skill points you have. Power points, you get one every odd level. So one every even level. So level 2, 4, 6, etc. And at level 30, which is the max level, you'll have 15 power points. You cannot get more power points. 15 is the max. Skill points, you get every odd level. 1, 3, 5, 7, etc. You also get skill points from doing feats, which are like achievements. We'll go over that in just a bit. First, let's go over the powers. Powers, again, is going to be based on what power you picked during character creation. So fire, gadgets, mental, etc. The first two are going to be related to that power set. Since I'm mental, my abilities are telekinesis and illusion. These are going to look similar, though the powers themselves will be different. Now here you can see a tree structure. If you've played pretty much any MMO made in the last 10 years, such as World of Warcraft, this should look pretty familiar. You have to work from the top down. So for example, if I wanted psychic resonance, I would have to get telekinesis. So, and I like to reference these as tiers. So this is a tier 1, this is tier 2, this is tier 3, etc. Now the only exception to this is if it has arrows down. If there's an arrow down, that means I must get the power above it in order to unlock it. So for example, to get this, I would have to pick a tier 1 ability. I would have to pick this, a tier 3 ability, and then I could pick this. I could not just go this, and then that, because there's an arrow, I must get the prerequisite. However, let's say I wanted this ability, this level 3. I could pick this and any of these 3 tier 2s and then pick this. Hopefully that makes sense. Now, if you hover over an ability, you can see on the left-hand side, you will get a description. So let's look at Psychic Resonance. Unleashes a pulse of telekinetic energy to damage and stun nearby enemies. Now you're going to have several blue bracketed descriptions based on the power. So for example, this one will have power interactions. It says dazed, levitated, knocked back, knocked down, juggled, rooted, and stun enemies take additional damage. It's just telling me that because this power does have a stun component. So it's good to stun before either doing the damage or unleashing another power that has more damage so that you can increase your damage. It also says enemies in ice, nature, mental, light, earth, or gadgets encasements will explode and damage other enemies. So let's say you're grouped with someone who has frost powers and they've encased some enemies in ice. If you use this on those enemies, they will explode and not only damage them, but damage any other enemies nearby. You'll also often have sections that are mode dependent. So when it says damage roll, that means if you're in damage mode, you get these benefits or these side effects only if you're in damage mode. And here, let's see at pyrokinesis, we get the same thing, but in control mode, because again, controller is my secondary. So reduces the target's ability to heal and remove power over time effects. This only works if I'm in control mode. So keep that in mind. Lastly, some abilities will say have a supercharge cost. This costs 50% supercharge. And what supercharge is, you build supercharge by doing combos on enemies. And you can see my supercharge at the top left again. It is that orange bar about a quarter of the way up. Again, that builds naturally over time, and it builds faster the more combos you do, or the bigger you get your combos on enemies. So keep that in mind when you're looking at some of these powers. Note that it might be difficult to, you can't just whip them out quickly. You'll have to build up your supercharge meter first. So we're not going to bother looking at this other tree because it's going to be exactly the same. Now the third option here is iconic powers. Iconic powers are related to various superheroes in the DC universe. So for example, here you got Batarang, multi-shot, obviously like Batman, Clown Box, Gag Glove, Amazonium Deflection. These are not tiered. You can pick any power you want as long as you meet the level requirement. And you can see the level requirement just by hovering over the ability, and on the left, you'll see what level it requires. So again, you can pick these any order that you want. So going back to the traits, we're going to look at our skills now. You have weapon skills, and then you'll have your movement skills. Everyone has access to all weapons. The first one will be whatever you're wielding currently. So let's go ahead and click on that. Dual pistols, what I have. Again, this is a tree system, a tiered system. So you must get the various tiers. You must get the previous tier at least 1 point before you can get tier 2. I'm not explaining this all this well. Sorry, my getting tongue-tied. But so again, if you wanted this lifting strike, you would have to get a tier 1 ability, and then you can get the tier 2. And again, the same goes with the arrows. You have to get the prerequisite arrow before you can get the next one down. Now, what's important about your weapon skills is all of them have various slots for passive bonuses. Passive meaning you get the bonus all the time. So if you look under dual pistols, I've got critical attack damage, restoration, defense bonuses, etc. Now, if I put points into this, let's say I've got 3 points in this critical attack damage, which boosts my critical attack damage by 4% per point. So I've got 12% critical attack damage boost. I'll have this bonus, these passive bonuses, no matter what weapon I'm using. So let's say I decide I'm going to start using the staff. I still get that 12% critical attack damage bonus. That's very important when you're planning your character out later in the game. I'm going to link a chart via both in the video and in the info below, which has a really nice layout so that you can see what weapons you need to put points into to maximize stats that are important to your both your class, or I'm sorry, your power set and your role. So again, you can see all the weapons here, and let's say I see two-handed, and I don't have any points in this, but I'm like, you know what, I want to start using two-handed weapons. You can just put, when you put 1 point into a weapon set, you can start using that weapon. Further points will unlock various combos that you can do with that weapon that either stun or do extra damage or block break, what have you. And again, same here. You can highlight the ability. Look on the left-hand side. It will give you a description. It'll tell you that it's vulnerable to block. It'll tell you what it does. And it will also tell you how to do that combo. So in this case, to do this combo, I would left-click hold, left-click hold. And for this one, you would left-click hold 5 times. So that should be it for the weapons. And lastly, for the skills, we'll have your movement ability. I have acrobatics, so you will see that here. Under your movement skill, you will have various types of enhancements that you can do. There are going to be several which increase how well that travel power works. So for example, here we have rocket assisted glide for acrobatics. This basically gives you a permanent semi-flight with acrobatics. You can also grab a grapple or use a grapple line. You'll also have powers, or you also have abilities that you can unlock that use your movement ability in combat. So for example, here you have zip tie attack. It entangles an opponent in a zip line cable. So, and these of course will be different based on the movement type you chose. So be sure to check those out. Now, back at the traits, the last tab is Loadouts. Now, all loadouts will have a damage tab and then another tab based on your secondary role. So again, as mental, my secondary role is control. If you're fire, your secondary role is tank. Now, when you click on one, I just clicked on control. This is all the abilities that you have available while you are in control mode. This allows you to change that. So let's say, you know what, I really don't want this as my second power. I want telekinesis. All you have to do is drag and drop into there. Now, as soon as I go in the control mode, this will be my layout. And same goes for damage. Now, some classes do have abilities that will let you, say, turn invisible or turn into another creature. So you will have a different tab so that while you're transformed, you might want to use different abilities. So make sure that this is set up properly for all of your roles. Now, let's talk about feats a bit. We're going to first just hit escape, bring up the escape menu, click on deeds. It is the little trophy at the bottom. Then go to feats. Feats are a lot like achievements. If you've played an MMO or pretty much any game in the last 10 years, you should be familiar with achievements. In case you haven't, in a nutshell, what achievement is, or what a feat is like you've explored all sections of an area or you've completed an instance without dying at all. Now, feats are important in DC Online because they let you unlock skills. If you look here, there's a list of exploration feats, and they've got 1, 2, or 3 stars next to them. All feats have a star rating. 1 star gives you 10 feat points. 2 stars gives you 2 stars give you 25 feat points. 3 stars give you 50 feat points. Once you get 100 feat points, as you can see up here, you get another skill point. So if you want to unlock a lot of weapons, or even more importantly, especially later on at the end game, when you want to get those passive boosts to your stats, like we talked about, like the crit boost, etc., you'll want to get a lot of skill points, which means you will want to do a lot of these feats. These feats are split up into types, so you have exploration, style, PvP, seasonal, things like that. And you can click on a lot of these and they will drop down and they will be broken up into pieces. A lot of these will. So for example, this feat is explore all of Gotham. And you can see from these marks that I've explored the Burnley district and I've explored the East End, but I have not done these others. But once I do, I will achieve this feat and get 50 feat points. Lastly, I want to talk about respecking. So let's say that you're not happy with how you've spent your feat points or your power points, or if you just want to try something different, whatever, you want to completely change your feat. You want to change your power and or your skill setup. So find your respec station. It's going to be either in the Hall of Doom if you're a villain, or the Watchtower if you're a hero. And you can also find this, and you can find a lot of things this way actually. Open up your map, which is M, and look along the left side here. You'll see a lot of different sections, and find the respec chamber and right click on it. I believe it is. I'm already there, so it's hard to tell. But if you right click on it, it will put a waypoint there and it will lead you to it. So once we get there, we open her up and we see we can reset our powers and skills only or powers only. No matter what, it's the same price. So I guess it's just convenience if you just want to do one or the other. But at any rate, the lowest resetting your traits can cost is $500. Every time that you respec again, that adds an $150 to the base price. So if I respec, or if I reset my skills and my powers, and then I decide I want to do it again, that means it's going to be $650. If I don't want to do it again, that's $800. However, after 24 hours, the price to respec drops by $150. So using that previous example, my last respec cost $800. let's say I don't respec for $800 for 24 hours. It goes from $800 to $650. And let's say I don't respec for another 24 hours. Then the price drops again to the base price of $500. So it's actually not too bad. $500 is not much in-game currency. So respecing isn't too expensive, and it resets pretty quickly. So unless you're respecing a lot, which I don't really see why you would be, that's not going to take a big bite out of your wallet. Please do keep in mind, you cannot change your power set with the respec station. So I am mental, so I could not change from mental to gadgets or fire or sorcery via here. To do that, and I'm not going to go into the market too much, but to change your actual power set, you would need to go to the station store. It's the picture of the cart in the escape menu, and you would go to upgrades, and you can buy respec tokens for both your movement mode and your power type. So let's say I want to change from acrobatics to flight. I would buy a movement mode respec token. And as you see, these cost 1,000 station cash. That translates to about $10. If you're a legendary member, in other words, you're paying a subscription, you get a little bit of station cash every month automatically. Otherwise, you will need to buy the station cash and then go into the station store and buy these tokens to respec either your power type or your movement type. There is no way in game to change your power or movement type without either A, being a legendary member, which costs money, or B, buying station cash, which costs money. So that covers pretty much everything I could think to talk about with the powers and the skills. Hopefully this has been informative to you. Please leave comments in the comment sections below, and I will see you next time.